Okay, so what we're looking at here is doing explaining two-way frequency tables, which is another way we can look at you looking at two categorical variables. Okay, and so it's effectively a two-way categorical comparison of your data. All right, so here's an example. It's like attitude. That's one of my variables, attitude to gun control, and we're saying that's the dependent variable, which is what we know as the response variable, and the sex. So the male, is a person male or female, is what was the independent variable. So which is now the response variable? Not the response. It's the explanatory variable. So explanatory always goes there. Response always goes there. And when you're looking at this, and that's what it says here. Dependent defines the rows. Independent defines the columns. So there and there. So if you want to look at that in that way. Okay. And so how do you actually read it? So what it's saying is here, this one, it says 32 males are for gun control. 20 of the people interviewed, 26 males are against. So I've got a total of 58 men. When I look at the women, 30 are for gun control, 12 are not. So I've got a total of 42. So if I add up 58 and 42, I've got 100. Okay, that's got to equal 100 because in this case there's 100 people. But if I go across the rows and sum the rows and say who was for it, I've got 62 and 38. That should also equal a nice 100 here. Okay, and I've said how do you read it? That's how you read it. What do we say from this? So we can actually then convert that. Sometimes those numbers are a bit not the most useful because you want to look at it as a percentage. So in this case, we're looking at the males and saying 32 out of 58. That's actually 55.2% of males are for gun control. But even though the numbers up the top here are similar, you can see that nearly 20% more. So 71% of females are actually for it because there was less females in the initial thing. Okay, so how can we look at some questions here? So what we've got here is at a local shopping centre, 34 females and 23 males were asked which of the two political parties they preferred. 18 females, so we're going to look at females first, preferred Labor. So I've got 18 and 12 preferred male. So 12 males preferred Labor. Okay, let's have a look. So that means I had 18, so that means I'm going to have 16 females liking the Liberals and 11 males liking the Liberals. Okay, so now what you need to do is go and check if you've done all this right. You go 18 plus 16 will give you 34, which matches what we did up here. 12 and 11 matches the 23, which is what we've got here. And now let's have a look at, if I go 18 plus 12 is 30. 16 and 11 is 27. So here's the thing you need to check. 34 and 23 will give you 57. 30 and 27 will also give you 57. So now you've made sure you've got the total is what you expect. Okay, so now what we do is we convert the numbers in this table to percentages. So I'd be going 18 over 34, and that will give me 52.9. and therefore next one, and if you did the same, you'd get 47.1, and for males, I'd get 52.2, and that means this is going to be 47.8. And if we added those up, we'd get 100% both, which is what we want. Okay, and what we can say from this is that, you know, when we're looking here initially, you might sort of go, well, clearly more females prefer voting for Labor than males. But what we find is when we come down here and look at it in terms of percentage, we find that's not the case. We can say basically that the sex of the person voting has no impact, no real change on what party they're going to vote for, which I sort of forgot to mention in this little example here. You know, so you could be stating something along these lines where you've gone from this table, this is the table we're talking about here. This is a table. We said it, the percentage of, actually it wasn't for this one, my apologies. I thought I'd got it from there. But you could be saying something from, we said a percentage of males and females in support of whatever was similar. In this case, it's not. But this in some statement where this indicates that a person's support or attitude or whatever was not related to their sex.